was reading this article in Yard Barker, and I might be easily swayed because it's something that I want to happen anyway.
Okay.
And it's the idea that the Stars' versatility as well as these two key pieces make them a good bet to make a lengthy playoff run. Because I still feel like clearly in the East, I get it. You've seen not only Boston, but also Carolina is fantastic. And I feel like that's been lost to the Boston juggernaut. Whereas in the West, you still have a whole lot of tightly packed teams, with all due respect to whether you want to say Vegas, Edmonton, Colorado, whoever. It's a lot closer packed in terms of who will emerge from this group. Let's start with that. Do you think that is a fair assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the East is a gauntlet, and you talked about Carolina. I think it is a team that's probably a favorite. It's probably my choice to face Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. But, I mean, you look at the first-round matchups in the East. Toronto, Tampa Bay is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
We know what the Lightning have done over the past few seasons. New Jersey, New York is going to be a lot of fun. Obviously, New York brought in their guys like Tarasenko and Kane, but then you have this young Devils team. I got Timo Meier, and then you got your Jack Hugheses and the young defensive core, and they're getting good goaltending, which is good. So that series is really interesting as well. But, yeah, I mean, I still don't know who's going to win this Central Division. I think it could be really close. At this point, I'm between Colorado and Dallas just because Minnesota plays a couple of tougher teams down the stretch than the Stars and Avalanche do.
The Stars schedule is still easy.
Yeah, pretty much garbage. Besides, on Saturday afternoon, they'll take on Vegas, Miro Heiskanen and bobblehead afternoon as well on that. So
if I tell you right now, I tell you the Stars get 2 points in that game, you think they win the Central?
Yeah, I think that's a big one. If you beat Vegas, that'll be a nice maybe gap or something. Obviously, Colorado still has a game in hand, but the top three teams right now in the Central with Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota have all played pretty well. Colorado and Minnesota have been the two best teams post All-Star break, and Dallas has been up and down, but they're starting to find it a little bit, and they get some easy competition, which is really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one of the things that this article talked about that I think I'm inclined to agree with is you can make an argument that not only do the Stars have the best line and top line in the Western Conference, they also have the best goalie in the Western Conference. And so those are two elements that, and it's not like they are a wild card team. It'd be different if they're a wild card team and I'm like, hey, we got these two things that could work out.
Yeah.
Like they could still be the top seed in their division and they have these two things. I think that's really going to help them in the playoffs.
I like that. I agree. Being able to put the puck in the net, huge, important. And I know the netminder makes a big difference there. But their defense isn't consistent, right? Like that's their big thing.
That's fair.
Their defense, while okay, it's good. Can it turn that? Like I felt for the last 10 years now, the Stars have had this. If you get into the playoffs, they have the right kind of style play to really grind and play defense, and that's something they did when they went back to the Cup. I know it was a bubble cup, but they had they had that style of play, but they also had a big Jamie Benn who was playing different during that run. So can they turn a switch on that says now we're going to play good grind defense too?
Yeah, and the difference with the teams, the defensive core from that Bubble Cup was they had so many veteran old style guys like Sekera. You had a guy like Roman Polak that you could play out there that he could block shots. He could play on the penalty kill. They just don't have that type of size this season on the back end. Like Yanni Hakanpää is their biggest guy, but sometimes he gets a little lost out there. He's not a very quick, fleet-footed defenseman, so they've struggled in that area. It'll be interesting to see in the first couple of games how they, kind of grow accustomed to the playoff style of hockey, because there's probably going to be one or two guys that are going to be inserted into the lineup through a 7-game series. We have Nils Lundqvist that's been watching a lot of hockey lately. Joel Hanley has been decent. He comes in and he's ready to play. He actually plays pretty well. And then you have Thomas Harley that just got called up from the AHL.
Which I know Spittle is stoked about.
Yeah, really great. A bigger Miro is kind of what I call him, like that type of ceiling. Like a bigger guy, very offensively gifted. So it'll be fun to see. I'm not very worried, I guess, about the defensive posture in their system. It would just be the size and being able to block out bodies in front of the crease, because Ottinger, if he sees the puck, he's going to stop it.
Yeah.
He's one of the best in the league.
This might sound inflammatory, given that the other one did get us to the Cup, or the Cup final. Stars have my contention. Stars have a better coach now than they did in that cup run. Agree? Disagree?
I would agree, just because we've kind of seen the Rick Bowness effect now take place in Winnipeg, and they have absolutely tanked, and now they're 1 point away from being out of a playoff spot because Calgary beat them last night 3-1. Calgary's making a good surge there to make the 8th spot in the Western Conference. So Pete DeBoer is very big on, applying the pressure, not sitting back. Playing good offense is sometimes a good way to play defense, and we've seen the Stars do that a little bit this year where they can score a lot of goals. It's nice to have Wedgwood back as well. That gives Ottinger a little bit of rest here down the stretch, and hopefully he'll be a little bit more fresher for a 7-game series because playing in Minnesota would be a very similar team to Dallas. Really good top line. Kaprizov, phenomenal. He's your Robertson, basically, of Minnesota. I do not
acknowledge him.
and they got a decent back end. What makes the Stars really prime for a good playoff run is they do a couple things well. Really good on the power play, 24%. That's top 10 in the NHL. Really good penalty kill. I believe it's 83%. That's ranks 3rd in the NHL. They win faceoffs. They're actually the best team in the league at that clip, 54%. They win a lot of draws, and they can win special teams, especially in today's NHL, the modern game in the playoffs. A lot of special teams. There's a lot of ticky-tack calls, grinds my gears. I'll lose my mind for 7 games. I'll lose my voice because of some of the calls they make. And if you can score on the power play and you can defend in front of your net and you get a great performance from Ottinger, you're going to be in a good spot to win a lot of games.
I want to hear Dole's my skates. I want to, that's what I want.
Okay, so you want a hockey base.
Yeah.
Like we changed the phone booth one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I disagree that the coach is better. That was an interim coach. The guy who set the table for that interim coach is now coaching the best team in hockey this year.
He inherited a Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah. I mean, like Montgomery, I know, we all know the situation, but he had that whole thing started, and that team was fun. Yeah. And
I liked him too.
Bonus, what he did
but
what he did a great job of
transpired.
in that time was making sure they were a team together. Like they already had the principles. They already had all the things that they needed. They just needed to stay together as a group, and they did. Especially the bubble, kind of forced them to. And Bonus was like, "I got this." Now, strategist-wise, yes, during that run, Kevin, I will say that I think DeBoer's better than Bonus.
I will tell you something, and we said the same thing going into the Nashville game. Is you have to get 2 points tonight for a variety of reasons. First of all, for just basic math. Let's start with that. Secondly, Ottinger has crushed Philly in his only 2 meetings. He's 2-0-0 with a 1 goals against average and a .970 save percentage, which is insane. And then plus, Philadelphia sucks right now. They've lost 4 games in a row, and the Stars already smoked them earlier this season. So look, you're playing an inferior opponent, which you have dominated, and they are in the toilet right now. If you don't get 2 points tonight, that feels crippling.
Yeah, you have to keep pace with Colorado because, they may lose 1 game down the stretch. I believe they play Vegas coming up in their 2nd game, so that'll be the most likely matchup that they maybe drop a game.
Sure.
And that's saying a lot too, because Colorado's just a wagon. We can be honest about this, and it would be a really scary first playoff matchup. It'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. Pretty much at this point, it looks like whoever wins the Central is going to play Seattle, which I think is a great matchup for any of these teams. I would give that in a heartbeat. Start to take that maybe 5. I'll be completely honest. Run them down. I don't think Seattle's that great. They got a couple. They have a nice line. Yeah.
Whereas we already talked about if it's Dallas and Minnesota, they might be kind of mirror images of one another.
Yeah, because they're getting great goaltending from Gustafsson, who is one of their younger guys. And then we've seen Marc-Andre Fleury take over playoff series in the past. I know he's old now, but these veteran guys, it's a little bit easier to get up for the playoff games, and that's why I'm really bullish on the chances for Dallas, is because you get guys, at this point in the season, it's a little tiring, hey, let's get it going. Then you get your Joe Pavelskis and your Benns that are, very seasoned vets, and they're like, all right, it's time to go. They get the juices flowing, the crowd gets into it, and the Stars play really well on the road. They won more games on the road this season than they have away. I'm not really...
Did you just say they've won more games on the road than they have away?
Oh, on the... at home. That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
I just,
But
if you're
no, fair enough. No,
you
please.
needed to be destroyed.
No,
for that.
please
Yeah.
for help. You held me accountable. I appreciate that. So, and I'm not big on like the home ice advantage. I don't think it really matters as much anymore as it used to be. Stars have always played really well on the road.
I tell you, or you guys tell me, you think the Stars finish where at the end of the regular season? We'll get to the playoffs when we get to the playoffs. You think first Central, second Central?
I think they get the 2 seed.
First Central.
Oh, I knew.
Heck yeah, Corey.
I got
could count
faith.
on
I'll be
it.
the bad guy.